How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about GGPI. I'm getting a lot of questions. Dre, are you still in this play? What do you think is going to happen? So I'm like, you know what? Let me do this update video. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for GGPI. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $10.81, being up 1.12%. On the low, it tested $10.67, and then on the high, testing $10.94. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 1.954 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 2.413 million shares. So right away, we did have below average volume, but we still saw some strength in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it was at 45.66. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 100-day, the 50-day, and as well as the 21-day EMA. But one thing that you could see for today, though, it looks like we were using the 200-day as support. So we ended up seeing a low of $10.67, and we had a high of $10.94. So what we'd want to see, especially before the end of the week, to see if we can have a test above $11. That wouldn't be too much to ask whatsoever. We have the 21-day EMA at $10.98, and we have resistance at $10.94. And right now inside of the after hours, it is at $10.86. So let's see if we can get that move to that psychological area to 11. The moment we could do this, and if we can actually finish the week above $11, that's what I'd want to see us make a next move to see if we can get above $11.15. So that's one thing you want to add to your notes. If we end up having a continuation of more consolidation, then I want to see us make a higher low. So I want to see us being able to hold up at least $10.70. I think this is very doable, and this will confirm a further uptrend. But if we end up continuing to trade sideways, that is perfectly fine because you guys know the strategy already. If you can get this stock anywhere in that $10 range, it doesn't look too bad whatsoever considering it's a SPAC and $10 is the floor. And what we're looking for is a confirmation of that merger date, and we know we'll get a really nice pop when that comes out. Now let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for GGPI. Scrolling down further on the page, green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So the most recent filing we have here is from Barrel Capital Management LLC for March the 14th with a closed position. And then we also have Walleye Capital LLC with puts and as well as calls with a value of shares of 63,300 and for calls at 88,000. And then when we take a look now at what's going on for institutional activity, you can see as far as March is concerned, it is a lot lower than what we have seen previously. No surprises there due to the fact it hasn't really been moving that much. And now when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 40.70%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is at 323,145 shares. And then when we scroll down further on the page, the short shares availability is at 1.6 million, updated 1 minute ago. And then for the short borrow-free rate, it was at 2.13%. And then when we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 14th, it was at 38.58. And then for the close of the 15th, 15th, which was yesterday, being at 40.70. So what this shows us right away is that GGPI does have short squeeze potential. Now let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for GGPI. So we can see on the inflows at 3.74 and then on the outflows at 4.49. So we had an outflow day. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large it was 0, on the medium it was 2.90, and then on the small it was 0.84. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large it was 0.21, then on the medium it was 3.13, and then on the small it was 1.15. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see for March the 16th we had an outflow of just over 213,000. Analyzing the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tend to represent the retail side, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the large, which represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 1.98%. So this is not too bad for GGPI. This is a stock that doesn't see a lot of movement whatsoever. Plus on top of that, it does trade at relatively low volume. And when you have a situation like this, it's a lot easier for it to be manipulated. Let's get into the final thoughts and we'll go over some more details as well. So for my final thoughts for GGPI, I must say this stock has been very consistent. You know already, when this stock is trading below $11 and it's in that $10 range, I really do like adding to my position. We know that it's a SPAC and the floor price is right at $10. So there's not a lot of risk whatsoever. But what we need to wait on is a confirmation. We want to know, when is that merger date? The moment we get that date, that's where I can look forward to seeing this stock starting to move further. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership, we can see there has been a decrease. There hasn't been as much interest. Not surprising, since the stock is barely moving. And then when we take a look at the short interest, it does continue to have short squeeze potential. So that's why we just got to sit down here and wait to see this stock make that move above $11. The moment we have some more catalysts like the merger date or even some more further news, then we can look forward to seeing those pops where you can go back to 12, get above 12.50, and see if we can go to 13. I think $13 should be doable, especially when we get that date. If we don't get the $13, even though we get that date, then we have to look forward to seeing some sort of catalyst. But that's why I always say, if you are up inside of the play, you move up your stop loss. But in these particular price ranges of where it's at, I don't have a stop loss whatsoever. I don't see the point. But if we end up getting a move going to 12 and as well as for 13, then I will be putting my stop loss in there. I know a lot of you do believe in the long-term prospects, and you know what? I do believe in it too for myself, but you have to do your homework and do your due diligence and be prepared. And when they have that business combination, and if it does decide to dip, are you going to add more to your position? And if the answer is yes, then of course, then you should be holding this for the long term. If the answer is no, then you need to be trading it the way how I'm going to be looking at it. But of course, this is not financial advice. I'm just saying that you want to make sure you craft your own strategy. The reason why I'm emphasizing this, because the last thing that I need is for you guys to come back to my channel and say, well, Dre, I thought it would have went to 15, went to 20. Why am I holding a bag? You're holding a bag because you didn't have a strategy. You were using your emotions. You were letting greed get in the way. But aside from all of that, as far as from what we got from the Fed meeting, we're going to be looking forward to seeing 6 rate hikes. And we ended up getting a hike today, which is 25 basis points. So this is going to be a very choppy market, but do know it doesn't mean that the market is going to continue to go down. It just means that it's going to be rocky. So having a game plan in regards to your entry and as well as your exit and the appropriate risk management, then you should be able to end up on the winning side of your trade. And like I was saying before as well, yes, we do have low volume, and whenever a stock trades at low volume, it is open to a lot of manipulation. So that's why even though we saw a lot of strength coming into the stock market, there was a lot of buying and so forth, GGPI was barely moving. But I'm okay with that. I've been messing with SPACs for quite some time, and this is normal. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let's see how the stock performs as we get closer to the end of the week. We'll talk soon.